One of the speakers that will be joining us in person on the weekend, I am beside myself about, because I have admired this woman and what she has endured, how she's risen above it, and how she has demonstrated how a woman can be pushed down and she can still rise. And that person is Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
Meghan Markle is reportedly feeling the pressure, and the tension is clearly building after news spread that many Australian citizens signed a petition pushing back against her upcoming visit. As the criticism keeps growing, one thing stands out every single time. When money and attention are on the table, Meghan is still stepping right into the spotlight. Even with strong backlash and thousands of signatures calling for her to stay away, she is not stepping back at all. Instead of canceling or going quiet, she is responding directly, and that reaction is only making the situation even louder and more intense. Now it is already April, and Meghan is preparing for her trip to Australia, where she is expected to attend a wellness-focused event hosted by her friend, Gamma O'Neill. Reports suggest that O'Neill may also be facing financial pressure, which adds even more attention to this situation. And this is where things really start to turn heads. Ticket prices for the event are reportedly extremely high, with some attendees expected to spend thousands just to be part of it. On top of that, there are claims that guests may need to pay extra for group photos with Meghan, and even more just to hear her speak in person. Critics are already questioning whether the experience will actually match that kind of price tag, saying the talks might not live up to expectations. But Meghan appears completely unfazed by all the noise. For her, this event looks like a major opportunity to regain attention, bring in income, and rebuild a level of public interest that some believe has been slipping recently. From her perspective, this trip is being seen as a chance to reset both financially and publicly.
And the tone of their response about this particular petition, it reeks of animosity. And you understand why the pair are polling so poorly globally. I mean, it just sounded so bitter. Stay home with your kids. It doesn't sound like Australia wants you.
And she is not letting the backlash slow that down. But across Australia, the pushback is getting stronger and people are not staying quiet about it. Many citizens have made it clear they do not want any taxpayer money connected in any way to what they describe as two royals, who stepped away from official duties. Because of that concern, a petition quickly gained traction, with thousands signing and demanding that no government resources be used during Harry and Meghan's visit. At first, reports suggest Meghan did not take the petition seriously. It was reportedly viewed as online noise that would fade out quickly. But as the number of signatures started climbing fast, the situation reportedly shifted in a big way. The growing support behind the petition is said to have caught her team off guard, and soon Meghan responded publicly in a tone many described as defensive and frustrated. She made it clear that the trip is intended to be completely private, with no government funding involved at all. According to her statement, the event is privately organized and financed, meaning taxpayers should not be part of it in any way. Even with that clarification, critics were not convinced. Many argued that the response only came after public pressure had already started building. Some believe it was an attempt to regain control of the narrative once it became clear that public opinion was shifting. Trying to ease the situation, Meghan reportedly dismissed the petition as unnecessary, saying that if the trip is privately funded, then protesting it does not really make sense. But what really sparked more reaction was a statement from her spokesperson that left many people confused. The argument suggested that because only a small percentage of Australians signed the petition, the majority must not have an issue with the visit. That logic quickly raised questions, with many pointing out how unrealistic that assumption sounds. People online began reacting strongly, saying that not signing a petition does not automatically mean support. Most people simply do not see every petition, or they are focused on work, family, and daily life.
A spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess has said, and this is where I don't think they're quite picking up what we're putting down, said, quote, "It's a moot point. The trip is being funded privately, so I'm not sure what this petition hopes to achieve."
It does not mean they agree or disagree at all. The petition itself was launched by an advocacy group called Beyond Australia, and even the organizers admitted they were surprised by how suddenly the visit was announced. That unexpected timing only pushed the situation further into the spotlight and gave it even more momentum. According to the organizers, this trip is being presented as fully commercial and private, not an official royal tour in any way. Because of that, they argue it should not be treated like one at all, But concerns are still rising quickly. The group behind the petition warned that political figures or government representatives could still get involved in welcoming the couple, which might quietly lead to public spending anyway. And that is exactly what many Australians are worried about right now. Their position is clear and direct. If Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties, then public resources should not be used to support visits that look more like celebrity appearances than public service. That point continues to be repeated as the petition gains even more attention. Another major concern comes down to the current financial pressure people are facing. Across Australia, many are dealing with rising food prices, higher fuel costs, mortgage stress, and increasing energy bills. Because of that, there is a strong feeling that government focus should stay on helping everyday people, not on high-profile visits connected to private events. For many of those signing the petition, this is not even about Meghan personally. It is about protecting public resources during a time when many households are already under serious financial strain. At the same time, people are remembering the couple's 2018 royal tour, which took place shortly after their wedding. Back then, the situation looked completely different. Harry and Meghan were welcomed with massive support and full royal treatment. They had police escorts, official accommodations, and large-scale security arrangements that reportedly came with significant costs. At that time, they were still active working members of the royal family, and the reception was overwhelmingly positive. Now,
but the issue you've got, as I intimated earlier, the couple need money, Caleb. They do have a few $1 million in the bank, but they're getting through the cash very quickly. They've got security costs. They've got a mortgage on that Montecito mansion, and the income is diminishing.
Critics are saying the situation has clearly shifted, and not in a small way. Since stepping away from royal duties, Meghan and Harry no longer represent the monarchy in any official role. Because of that, some Australians believe there may be an effort to recreate the same level of attention and treatment seen back in 2018. And that is exactly what petition supporters are trying to stop before it even starts. One of the biggest questions right now is security, and it is adding serious tension to the situation. Reports suggest their personal security costs are extremely high, and with ongoing legal discussions around protection, people are asking who will actually cover those expenses during this visit. That question alone has made the entire situation feel even more uncertain, and that uncertainty is what is driving even more backlash. Many people are concerned that local or federal authorities could end up covering some of the costs, even if it happens indirectly. When officials were asked directly whether any public funds would be used, there were no clear answers given, and that silence only made things worse. Because of that, more people started backing the petition, pushing the issue further into the spotlight. Still, Meghan continues to insist that no taxpayer money will be involved at all.
That 36,000 brave souls, and I'm proud to say, as a patriotic Australian souls, have signed a petition calling for Harry and Meghan's tour of Australia to be deprived of all public funding,
making it clear that the trip is fully private. At the same time, the wellness retreat itself is scheduled for April 17th to April 19th and is expected to host around 300 guests. The package reportedly includes VIP access, front row seating, exclusive sessions, and group photo opportunities with Meghan, all designed to create a high-end experience. Organizers claim the event is already sold out, but new concerns are starting to surface about what is really happening behind the scenes. Reports suggest that maintenance work is still ongoing at the hotel where the event will take place. The infinity pool is said to be unfinished. Spa areas and leisure docks are still under construction, and parts of the beachfront may be dealing with environmental issues that are creating unpleasant conditions in certain areas. As the event date gets closer, the pressure around this trip is building fast, and the conversation is becoming impossible to ignore. What started as a simple wellness appearance has now turned into a full public debate, with more people questioning not just the purpose of the visit, but also the timing, the pricing, and the message it sends. A bigger question is now being asked again and again: who is this event really for? Because with ticket prices reportedly reaching into the thousands, it is clearly not aimed at everyday people. Instead, it appears focused on a smaller group willing to spend heavily for access and proximity, and that alone is raising concerns. This becomes even more noticeable when the event is promoted around wellness and personal growth. Some critics feel that message does not match the reality, arguing that true wellness should be accessible, not something placed behind extremely high price points. That contrast is what continues to drive frustration.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have criticised an online petition ahead of their trip to Australia next month. More than 35,000 people have signed the form saying security and logistics for the pair's tour should not be taxpayer funded. A spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex responded saying the trip is being privately funded.
On one side, there is messaging about balance, healing, and positivity. On the other side, there are premium packages, VIP access, and exclusive experiences that only a limited group can afford, and that gap is hard for many to ignore. At the same time, others are looking at the bigger picture and questioning the strategy behind this appearance. For Meghan, this event is being seen as an important move to rebuild her public image and maintain relevance in a space that is becoming more competitive every year. Public attention moves quickly, and staying visible requires constant engagement. Events like this create a direct way to reconnect with audiences, generate headlines, and open new opportunities. But when controversy follows closely behind, that attention can quickly shift into criticism instead. And that is exactly what seems to be happening here. Every new detail about the event is being analyzed, discussed, and debated across social media and public conversations, with opinions forming fast. Even the partnership with Gamma O'Neill is now being looked at more closely. Some reports suggest the collaboration could benefit both sides, bringing exposure and financial opportunities through the event. But critics are questioning whether the focus is truly on wellness or more on business strategy. Another important layer is how quickly public perception can change. Just a few years ago, Meghan's appearances often brought strong support and curiosity. Now, reactions seem far more divided, with growing skepticism from certain audiences. That kind of shift does not happen overnight. It builds over time through headlines, public reactions, and changing expectations. And once that shift begins, it becomes much harder to control how.
Some wags have started up this petition. They're saying, we don't want you here, but the petition demands that no taxpayer funding or official support is provided for Harry and Meghan's private visit to Australia.
The story is seen. At the same time, supporters argue that Meghan has every right to host private events, build her brand, and move forward with new ventures. From that point of view, this trip is simply another step in her post-royal career, and the criticism may feel excessive, but critics see it differently. They believe that when someone operates at this level of visibility, their actions naturally face more scrutiny, especially when there are open questions about public resources, messaging, and timing. And timing is playing a huge role right now. With many households dealing with financial pressure, any event tied to high costs and exclusivity is likely to draw stronger reactions. It creates a contrast that people notice immediately, and that contrast is not going away. Then there is the issue of expectations. When something is marketed as premium, people expect everything to be flawless. But with reports of unfinished facilities and ongoing work at the venue, some are starting to question whether the experience will actually match what is being promised. That uncertainty is adding even more tension. Because when guests are paying top-level prices, they expect a top-level environment, and anything less could quickly turn into another wave of criticism. And in today's world, information spreads instantly. Every update, every image, every detail can go viral within minutes, which means even small issues can become major talking points almost overnight. All of this places Meghan in a very challenging position. On one side, this event represents a chance to reconnect with audiences and strengthen her public image. On the other side, the level of scrutiny is higher than ever, and every move is being closely watched. The bigger question now is whether this trip will help improve her public standing or create even more challenges moving forward. Because once a narrative starts forming,
vote. I mean, you can't get more sort of out of touch or out of tune with how Australia is than to think, oh, I'm going to stand up for women's rights and talk about my plight and my fight for freedom with Jackie O. It's so unserious. It is so unserious. And I used to have maybe a shred of respect for them. Now it's totally gone.
It becomes very difficult to shift it back in a different direction. And now that narrative is still unfolding in real time. Supporters, critics, and observers are all watching closely, waiting to see how everything plays out once the event officially begins. Because at the end of the day, this is not just about one event. It is about perception, timing, and how everything comes together once the spotlight hits. And with so many questions still hanging in the air, one thing is clear. This situation is far from finished. And what happens next could shape how this entire story is remembered moving forward. Some critics have even started joking that guests might end up at a luxury wellness retreat while trying to overlook the surroundings, all just for the chance to grab a single photo with Meghan. It may sound exaggerated, but reactions like that show just how intense and emotional the conversation around this event has become. What started as a calm, high-end wellness experience has now turned into something much bigger. It is no longer just about relaxation, mindfulness, or personal growth. Now it is about expectations, image, and whether the full experience actually matches what is being promised. People are paying attention to every detail: the ticket prices, the exclusivity, the reports about unfinished areas, and the overall message behind the event are all being examined closely. And for many, those pieces are not lining up the way they expected. On one side, there is a message focused on balance, healing, and positive energy. On the other side, there are premium packages, VIP access, and experiences that only a small number of people can realistically afford.
As part of their official tour, Harry and Meghan also took a trip to the Sydney Opera House, where thousands of well-wishers gathered to meet the couple. The Duke and Duchess made special time for one royal enthusiast, who's now met the prince 3 times.
That contrast continues to drive the conversation forward and keep people talking. Then there is the environment itself. Reports about ongoing maintenance, incomplete amenities, and less than perfect conditions have only added more attention. Because when people are paying top-level prices, they expect everything to feel complete and polished. Anything less quickly becomes a major talking point. Despite all of this, Meghan has reportedly made it clear that she is still going ahead with the event, and that decision has become one of the biggest focal points of the entire situation. For some, this shows determination. It sends a message that she is not backing down, not canceling, and not letting public pressure control her decisions. In a space where public figures often step away when criticism builds, continuing forward can be seen as a sign of confidence and control. Supporters argue that canceling now would only create even more negative attention. It could be seen as admitting something is wrong. By showing up, she stays consistent and follows through on what was already planned. But critics see it very differently. They believe moving forward despite all the concerns only adds more pressure and keeps the controversy alive. To them, it raises questions about priorities and whether business opportunities are taking center stage over public perception. And this is where everything becomes more complicated. Both sides exist at the same time, and neither side is backing down at all. Timing is also playing a major role here. Many people are currently dealing with rising living costs, financial pressure, and economic uncertainty. In that kind of environment, any event tied to high prices and exclusivity is going to stand out immediately. It creates a contrast that is hard to ignore. While many are focused on managing everyday expenses, others are being invited to premium experiences with VIP access.
Prince Harry has lost a legal challenge over changes made by the UK government to his publicly funded security arrangements. This following his decision to step down from royal duties with his wife Meghan. Harry had sought to overturn a decision that would take away his automatic personal police security while in Britain. The High Court in London upheld the ruling last year.
That difference is what fuels a lot of the emotional reaction we are seeing. At the same time, public figures like Meghan operate in a completely different space. Their careers often rely on visibility, branding, and creating experiences that attract attention. Events like this are part of that system and how it works. From that perspective, this is not unusual. It is a business move, a branding opportunity, and a way to stay visible in a fast-moving media environment. But when those two realities collide, public reaction becomes unpredictable, and that is exactly what is happening here. There is also the issue of expectations. When something is presented as premium, people expect a premium result. Every detail matters, from the setting to the experience to the atmosphere. Everything has to match what is being promised. If it does, the event can shift the conversation in a positive way. But if it falls short, even slightly, it can quickly turn into criticism. And in today's world, those reactions spread faster than ever. Social media plays a huge role in all of this. Every guest, every photo, every behind-the-scenes moment has the potential to go viral within minutes. That means the event is not just happening in one location, it is unfolding online in real time for everyone to see. That level of exposure raises the pressure even higher, because once something is shared, it cannot be taken back. First, Impressions can shape how the entire situation is viewed moving forward. And right now, the narrative is still being written as everything unfolds. Some people are waiting to see if the event will exceed expectations and change the tone completely. Others are expecting more issues to surface and confirm the concerns that have already been raised.
She's not going to turn up. Apparently the hotel, they've barely even finished the swimming pool,
Right.
so it's a complete sort of building site.
So they're basically going there probably, and the pay of the people who've developed the wellness centre
Yeah.
to bring some publicity to the wellness centre so they can do some business. I bet you that's what it is.
As the event gets closer, everything is starting to feel even more intense, and the spotlight is only getting brighter. What once looked like a simple appearance is now turning into a moment that could define how this entire situation is remembered moving forward. Every move, every update, and every small detail is now being watched closely. The pressure is not just coming from critics anymore. It is coming from the scale of attention surrounding the event itself. When something reaches this level, even the smallest issue can quickly become a major headline. And that is exactly what makes this situation so unpredictable. Because it is no longer just about what happens at the event. It is about how it is seen, how it is shared, and how quickly reactions spread across social media. Right now, there are two very different expectations building at the same time. Some believe the event could go smoothly and shift the entire conversation in a positive direction. If everything looks polished, organized, and high quality, it could help reshape how people view this whole situation. But others are expecting the opposite. They believe that with so many concerns already raised, even small problems could confirm the doubts people already have. And once that happens, it becomes much harder to change the narrative. That is the risk that comes with this level of visibility. There is very little room for error. Every detail matters, and every moment has the potential to influence public opinion in real time. And then there is the audience itself. With around 300 guests expected, this is not a massive public event. It is a controlled, exclusive environment. But because of social media, it will not stay private at all. Every guest becomes a source of content. Every phone becomes a camera. Every moment has the chance to be shared instantly. That means the real audience is not just the people attending.
It sounds great. It promises yoga, sound, healing, dinners by the pool, a disco night. Okay, here's what's really going on at the Intercontinental. It is under extensive renovations. The swimming facility, which I'm going to guess includes the pool. These fancy words. Swimming facility, it's a pool. Spa, leisure deck, due for completion in April.
It is everyone watching from the outside. This creates a completely different kind of pressure because now the experience has to work on two levels at the same time. It has to satisfy the people who paid to be there, and it has to look impressive to the much larger audience watching online. If those two things do not align, the reaction can shift very quickly. What feels exclusive to some can look out of touch to others. What feels premium inside the event can look questionable from the outside. That contrast is one of the biggest challenges surrounding this entire situation, and it is something that cannot be controlled once the event begins. Another important factor is how expectations have been built leading up to this moment. When an event is described as high-end, exclusive, and premium, people naturally expect a certain standard. They expect everything to be finished, polished, and perfectly organized. They expect the environment to match the price. They expect the experience to feel worth it. And if those expectations are not met, even slightly, the reaction can be immediate, not just from the guests, but from the wider public watching everything unfold. Because once images and videos start circulating, people begin forming opinions instantly. They compare what they see with what they expected. And if there is a gap between those two things, that gap becomes the story. That is why the reports about unfinished areas, ongoing maintenance, and environmental issues are getting so much attention right now, because they directly impact expectations. Even if those issues are minor or temporary,
they're the mysterious black balls now closing even more of our favourite beaches. Thousands of pieces of debris from the size of marbles to tennis balls originally detected at Coogee Beach on Tuesday.
They become amplified when people are already questioning the overall value of the event. They become part of a larger narrative that is already forming. And that narrative is not easy to control. Once people start connecting different details together, it creates a bigger picture. And that picture is what shapes public perception. At the same time, there is still a strong argument from supporters that this entire situation is being overanalyzed. They believe that at the end of the day, this is a private event. People chose to attend, people chose to pay, and the experience is meant for them. From that perspective, the outside reaction should not matter as much. If the guests are satisfied, then the event has done its job. But in reality, that is not how things work at this level of visibility. Because when a public figure is involved, especially one who is constantly in the spotlight, the audience is much bigger than just the people in the room. Everything becomes part of a larger story. Every decision, every detail, every moment is connected to how that person is seen publicly. And that is why this event carries so much weight. It is not just about those 3 days. It is about what those 3 days represent. For Meghan, this is being seen as an opportunity, a chance to reconnect with audiences, to build momentum, and to show that she is still a strong presence in a very competitive space. But at the same time, it is also a test, a moment where expectations are high, scrutiny is intense, and the outcome is uncertain. Because if the event goes well, it can shift the conversation, it can create a new narrative. It can show that she is still capable of drawing attention and delivering a premium experience. But if it does not meet expectations, the reaction could go in the opposite direction. It could reinforce the criticism, amplify the doubts, and make the situation even more difficult moving forward. That is the balance that exists right now.
Poorly globally. I mean, it just sounded so bitter. Stay home with your kids. It doesn't sound like Australia wants you.
Opportunity on one side, risk on the other. And both are growing stronger as the event gets closer. Another layer to this situation is how quickly opinions are forming even before the event has taken place. People are already deciding how they feel based on reports, speculation, and early details. That means the event is starting with a narrative already in place, and changing that narrative requires a strong, clear, and positive outcome. Because once people form an opinion, it takes a lot to shift it. It requires something noticeable, something clear, something that stands out. And that is why the execution of this event matters so much. Every detail, every moment, every interaction has the potential to either support or challenge the narrative that already exists. Even small things can have a big impact. The way guests describe their experience, the quality of the environment, the overall atmosphere, all of it contributes to how the story is told afterward. And in a situation like this, the story does not stay contained. It spreads, it evolves, and it reaches people far beyond the original audience. There is also the question of long-term impact. Because this is not just about one event, it is about what comes next. If this event is successful, it could open the door to more appearances, more opportunities, and more ways to stay visible. But if it creates more controversy, it could make future plans more complicated. It could increase skepticism. It could make audiences more cautious moving forward. That is why the stakes feel so high. Because this is not just a moment. It is part of a bigger timeline, and right now, that timeline is at a critical point, where every move matters, every decision counts, and every outcome has the potential to shape what comes next. The spotlight is already there. The attention is already building. The expectations are already set. Now it all comes down to what actually happens when the event begins. Because once it does, everything shifts from speculation to reality. And when that happens, the conversation will move even faster. Reactions will become stronger. Opinions will become clearer. Some will see it as a success, others may see it as confirmation of their concerns, and both reactions will exist at the same time, competing for attention. That is the reality of situations like this. There is no single outcome that satisfies everyone. There is only the version of events that becomes the strongest in public perception. And that is what makes this moment so important, because once that perception is formed, it becomes the story that people remember. Right now, everything is still open. The narrative is still developing. The outcome is still unknown. But once those 3 days unfold, everything will start to settle into place. The details will become clearer, the reactions will become louder, and the story will take its next shape. And whether that shape works in Meghan's favor or adds even more pressure is something that no one can fully predict yet. But one thing is certain. All eyes are on this event, and what happens next will not go unnoticed. Another layer to the story is the long-term impact, and this is where things start to feel even more serious. This is not just about one weekend or one appearance. It is about how this moment fits into a much bigger timeline that is still unfolding right in front of everyone. Public image is not something that changes overnight. It builds slowly through actions, decisions, and how those moments are remembered over time. One single event will not define everything, but it can absolutely influence what comes next and how future moves are received by the public. If this event goes well, it could open the door to more appearances, more partnerships, and more opportunities to stay visible, it could signal that momentum is back and that things are moving in a stronger direction. But if it does not meet expectations, it could create new challenges, raise more questions, and make the path forward more complicated than before. And that is why this moment feels so important. It is not just about what is happening right now. It is about what this could turn into later and how it shapes the next chapter. There is also a major conversation happening around authenticity, and this is where opinions really begin to split. When public figures promote certain values, people expect those values to show clearly in their actions. If there is even a small disconnect, it quickly becomes something people start talking about. In this situation, the focus on wellness is being compared to the exclusivity of the event. Some feel that the idea of balance, healing, and personal growth does not fully match with high price tags and limited access. Others believe that premium experiences are simply part of this space, and that there is nothing unusual about it at all. Once again, it comes down to perspective. And right now, there are multiple perspectives happening at the same time, each one pushing the conversation in a different direction, at the center of all of. This is Meghan, and every move she makes is being watched closely. Every statement, every appearance, every decision is being examined in detail. The level of attention is intense, and it does not slow down for a second. Operating under that kind of spotlight is not easy. Even when intentions are clear, reactions can still go in completely different directions. One group may see confidence and determination, while another may see something else entirely. And that brings everything back to the core question that keeps coming up. Is this a smart move or a risky one? Some people see this as a strong step forward, a chance to reconnect, rebuild, and move ahead with confidence. From that point of view, continuing with the event shows consistency and control, especially in a space where stepping back could create even more questions. Others see it differently. They believe this situation could create more pressure if expectations are not fully met. For them, the timing, the pricing, and the overall message all add layers of risk that cannot be ignored. There's no clear answer, and that is what makes this situation so interesting. It is not one-sided, and it is not predictable. It is developing in real time, with every new detail adding another piece to the puzzle. Another important factor is how fast public opinion can shift. Just a few years ago, appearances like this would have likely been met with excitement and strong support. Now, reactions feel more divided, with some people watching closely and others questioning every detail. That shift does not happen randomly. It builds over time through repeated headlines, public discussions, and changing expectations. And once it starts, it becomes much harder to control. This is why moments like this carry so much weight, because they do not exist on their own. They connect to everything that came before and everything that comes after. There is also the question of expectations, and this is where things become even more important. When something is presented as high-end and exclusive, people expect a certain level of quality. Every detail matters. The setting, the experience, the atmosphere, everything has to match the promise. If it does, the event can shift the entire conversation. It can show that the vision works and that the experience delivers what people were expecting. But if it falls short, even slightly, it can quickly turn into criticism, and those reactions can spread fast. Because today, nothing stays private. Every guest, every photo, every moment has the potential to be shared instantly. That means the event is not just happening in one place. It is happening online for everyone to see in real time. That kind of exposure raises the stakes even higher, because once something is out there, it cannot be taken back. First impressions can shape the entire narrative moving forward. And right now, the narrative is still being written. Some people are waiting to see if the event will exceed expectations and shift the tone in a positive way. Others are expecting more issues to surface and confirm the concerns that have already been raised. There is also a deeper layer to this conversation, and it has to do with how public figures balance business and image. Events like this are not just about the experience itself, they are also about branding, visibility, and staying relevant in a space that moves quickly. From that perspective, this event is a strategic move. It is a way to stay in the conversation, to create headlines, and to connect with an audience in a direct way. But at the same time, strategy does not always guarantee a positive outcome, because once public reaction becomes part of the equation, things can shift quickly. And that is exactly what we are seeing. What was meant to be a controlled, high-end experience has turned into a wide public discussion that continues to grow. Another thing to consider is how different audiences are reacting. Supporters may focus on the opportunity, the message, and the effort to move forward. Critics may focus on the timing, the cost, and the questions surrounding the event. Both sides are looking at the same situation, but they are seeing completely different things. And when those two perspectives exist at the same time, the conversation becomes much more complex. It is no longer about one clear narrative. It is about multiple narratives competing for attention. That is why the outcome of this event matters so much, because it will not just add another chapter to the story, it could influence which narrative becomes stronger moving forward. If the experience delivers, if guests leave satisfied, and if everything runs smoothly, it could shift attention in a more positive direction. It could show that the concerns were overstated and that the event achieved what it set out to do. But if things do not go as planned, if expectations are not met, or if new issues appear, it could reinforce the criticism and keep the conversation going even longer. And once that happens, it becomes harder to shift the focus away from those concerns, because public perception, once formed, is not easy to change. There is also the reality that no outcome will satisfy everyone. Some people will see success no matter what. Others will remain critical no matter what happens. That is just the nature of situations like this. But what matters most is which reaction becomes the loudest and the most widely shared, because that is what shapes the overall narrative that people remember. As the event approaches, the pressure continues to build. Expectations are high, attention is strong, and the margin for error feels smaller than ever. Everything now comes down to execution, not just what is planned, but what actually happens in real time, because that is what will define how this moment is remembered. Will it be seen as a successful step forward, or will it raise even more questions and keep the spotlight focused on the challenges? That answer is coming very soon, and it will likely shape what happens next in a big way. So now it is your turn to weigh in on all of this. What do you think about Meghan Markle's response to the petition and the reaction from Australian citizens? Is she standing firm and doing what she believes is right? Or are people justified in questioning the purpose and timing of this trip? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation is not slowing down anytime soon. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and share so you stay updated on everything that unfolds next. See you in the next one.